the shot.
Great. I love that.
And we're back.
Hi.
I forgot to do 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. That's just for me when I'm editing. What are we talking about today? Oh, yes. My favorite topic.
Pasta?
Pasta.
Pasta.
Pasta and actually pasta water specifically.
I'm Natalia.
What?
You gotta go.
I'm Candace. And this is not a single fork, just another podcast about food and cooking. But we keep it super real.
So real. Pasta water, is that what you said?
Yeah.
We're just gonna have a whole fucking segment on pasta water.
We're gonna talk about nothing but pasta water.
Wow, this is gonna be thrilling.
Yeah, it's gonna be short too.
Okay, so I'm gonna
kidding.
Swing my leg around.
She's comfy now.
Get comfy. Tell me the story about pasta water.
Okay, well, you know how we get in our classes and people, especially the pasta classes, but I mean, kind of the classes in general, they don't really understand the Italian way of pasta.
Right.
Because we've grown up with Olive Garden. Spaghetti and meatballs.
Spaghetti Warehouse. Well, it's more, here's the thing. Here, it's more like
Chef Boyardee.
I did not grow up with Chef Boyardee.
SpaghettiOs.
It's like a lot of meat in red sauce.
Yes.
And then a lot of cheese.
And a lot of pasta.
And a lot of cheese. And I love cheese. And I'm not going to lie. If there's nothing at home, I mean, I'm going to make goopy cheesy pasta. If it's cold or I'm sad, I need some comfort food. But that's not really, I mean, like, and then everyone's like, oh, how do Italians eat all this pasta and they're so skinny and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's different. It's fresh ingredients. The pasta is fresh. The pasta is light. It's not this like gut bomb that just, bleh, and then you just sit on the couch and you're like, I hate my life because I have cheese and pasta in my belly.
Well, and let's be real. A serving of pasta is not this.
Right.
A serving of pasta is this.
Yeah.
And so
it's this?
It's this.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know.
So it's okay. So anyway, all that aside, there's a lot of conversation about what you do with pasta water.
Okay.
And just starting with when you boil the pasta and you start with the water and do you put the pasta in the water before it boils, you put oil in the water and blah, blah, blah. So you start with boiling.
So let's tell you what the right thing is.
So lots of water, big pot, lots of water, lots of salt. You want it to taste like the ocean water.
That should be on a shirt. You say that so much.
I know, I should.
Tastes like the ocean.
Tastes like the ocean.
And then just a pasta.
Yeah. With a fork.
Yeah.
And then once it boils, you drop your pasta.
Okay, so what about oil in your water?
And you don't put oil in your water because what we're going to talk about in a minute is you want to, the best way, what we're going to talk about to finish your pasta is in the sauce. So you finish the cooking of the pasta in the sauce. If you put oil in your water with your pasta because you think that's going to help you keep it separated.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
They're taught that to keep so it doesn't get lumpy?
It'll get all goopy, lumpy.
I always wondered why people did that.
Stuck together,
okay.
Which it doesn't.
As long as
the water is moving, it doesn't matter. But if you oil your pasta water, then your sauce will not stick to your pasta. And that's really the most important thing.
That totally makes sense.
You want sauce to stick to your pasta.
Yeah. The only time I've had pasta like stick to itself is when you like take it out and drain it and then just let it sit.
Yeah. Because the starch all comes together.
So at that point, if you're going to save it for a later date, you might want to oil it a little bit.
A little bit, but not
a lot.
Crazy.
Yeah, just so it doesn't
just
stick
enough
together.
So that it doesn't stick together.
If you're eating it right out of the hot water, then you don't need to.
Okay. So this guy at Serious Eats, one more time, I love that website and their newsletter. And the whole point of this article is using pasta water really all it's cracked up to be? It's basically
using it in your sauce.
Using it in your sauce after you finish boiling your pasta.
Because the theory is that it will thicken and create a
Well,
sauce
yeah,
and
that it brings it all
all
together.
together.
Brings it all together with because pasta water is starchy.
Because you
It
said
pulls
all
all the
that
starch
pasta.
out of the
Yeah.
pasta. So what he did an experiment. He boiled the pasta, then he drained it and topped it with the sauce. Okay, so you just have it's the traditional American way.
Okay.
Okay, you have your pasta, drain it, boom, it goes on the plate. Your
Sauce
sauce
gets
goes on
slapped
top.
on top. Okay.
Slap it on top.
Got it.
Then he boiled the pasta, he drained it, and then he tossed it with the sauce off the heat.
Okay.
Okay, so
Sauce is already cooked.
sauce is cooked, pasta is drained, but he puts the pasta into the sauce.
Okay.
Okay. Then the last thing was you boil the pasta, you drain it, save the pasta water or some of the pasta water, and then you briefly cook it in the sauce.
The
with
pasta, not the water,
pasta.
yeah.
The pasta goes into the sauce. You cook it so you're still on the heat, and you add pasta water.
Okay.
Okay. So what he found is that when you do it the American way, where we just pull the spaghetti out, throw it on a plate, and throw the
Sauce on top.
Prego or the
Ragu.
ragu over the top, you're going to have uh, like diluted pasta sauce because you've got all this water from your pasta in the bottom of your bowl.
That is
Which
true.
is really kind of yucky.
Okay.
Okay. Then if you don't finish it on the heat, that's a better way, but it still doesn't bring the pasta and the sauce together.
Okay.
The only thing that brings the pasta and the sauce together is cooking it together on the stovetop
And adding the pasta
and
water.
adding the pasta water. So that's the only way you're going to get
Everything.
fusion
We just-
again fusion of the pasta with the sauce so that you get this nice creamy emulsion.
And everything's covered in or incorporated,
Yeah.
not sloppy covered, but like you have a little sauce on every bite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in fact, that's what we, particularly in the Southern style pasta class that we teach, they finish their pasta that they make. They finish it in the sauce that they make
After it's boiled.
after it's boiled. And so it all comes together as a complete dish versus here's my pasta, here's my sauce. You know, it's all one. So then they went into this thing about whether you had super starchy pasta water, where, and in this case, you would not use as much water to boil your pasta. So the starch would be concentrated
Okay.
in the.
Is that the only thing that makes it extra starchy? Is just less water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they did like different levels of water. And then all he did was, which is, I mean, I'm not sure about this method and he wasn't either, but you know, it was kind of one of those, if it's going to work, it's going to work. If not, you know,
Okay.
screw it. So, what he wanted to do was make a pasta sauce using just olive oil with the pasta water.
Interesting.
Okay. So the less starch, because the starch molecules will kind of bind with oil,
Oh, okay.
but just water and
Will
oil, no.
Yeah, no.
It's like oil and vinegar almost.
It's like oil and water.
It's like oil and water, you know, just floats on the top. So he couldn't get a successful sauce with the less starchy water. It had to be super starchy. And then even with just olive oil, he could kind of get a sauce to come together. He didn't try putting grated cheese over it, but he said he was sure that if he had added the cheese, then the sauce would have all come together. And of course it would.
That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah,
Just
because
water.
also because you're always told tons of water so the pasta can move around. And so I guess in the end it would depend upon how starchy you wanted your pasta water to be. So I guess if you want starchier pasta water, then you would use less water than ordinary. So you could make, you know, so that your sauce would come together. Then the last thing,
Oh, there's more.
the last thing, which I think was really interesting, and I hadn't really thought about it, but it makes so much sense. You can control the cooking time of your pasta You can speed it up or slow it down by putting it in the sauce. So you're boiling your pasta.
Yeah.
And you're cooking other stuff. Let's say, you're, frying chicken, or you've got steak on, or whatever you're doing. And you got your pasta boiling, and you're afraid that your pasta is going to get overcooked.
Mm-hmm.
If you stop it just pre al dente, so let's say,
So a little too soon.
So let's say the cooking time on the box of pasta says 10 to 12 minutes. If you pull your pasta at like 9 minutes and put it in the sauce, the sauce slows the pasta cooking down so that you have time to finish the rest of your meal.
Oh, I do that.
And I do it too, but I didn't think about it specifically.
Well, I think I did because I know that I've done it all the time, overcooking my pasta. Because like you said, I've got other things going on, or I'm cooking other things, or I just like turn it off because it's done boiling, and then it's in the water, and then I'm doing something else and I forget to drain it, and then I'm like, fuck, it's like mushy.
Yeah.
And it's just gross. So now I've just started doing that and getting it in the sauce, and then I can forget about it.
Right.
Because I know that it'll stay together better.
Yeah. It just takes longer. It totally slows the cooking process down.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So, little rule of thumb, if you are, if you can't get your shit together and you've got pasta boiling,
or if you can never get pasta to the right texture, yeah, this is a good trick for that. Like, you probably hear about al dente, or you hear about this, or you hear about that, and then you're like, I don't know if it's right. Do this. Stop it boiling. Put it in your sauce, and then how do you know? You fucking taste it.
Yeah.
It's not hard. You don't throw shit against the wall, guys.
No, you just take a piece or strand or whatever and put it in your mouth and chew it.
Yeah, and if you like it, stop.
Yeah.
And if you think it needs more, it needs more.
Right.
And if it's overdone, you're fucked.
Start over. Because nobody likes soft, chewy, or not chewy.
It just falls apart.
It's mushy.
Yeah. It gets mushy and gross.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you don't want that.
No.
You don't want that. No.
Ew.
So bottom line,
pasta water is important.
Pasta water is important.
I think a lot of people have no concepts of that.
No, they don't.
I mean,
because they take their pasta out of the water and throw it on a plate and throw some sauce on top of it. But that's not the best way.
What a difference that makes.
It does. It makes a huge difference. And if you'll just try that, incorporating your pasta with your sauce and a little pasta water, you'll be amazed at how much better it is.
Well, and I think you'll be surprised too, because like when you go to restaurants and you're like, oh, this is so good, or when you see a picture and you're like, why is that so pretty and mine isn't? Mm-hmm. It is that, because I noticed it the other night in our pasta class, and everything just came together and it was so pretty, and everyone was looking at it, even in their saute pan, and it was just this beautiful mixture, and everything came together and was cohesive and like almost creamy looking.
Yeah.
And that's how you get that. And okay, it might be a little extra step, but not really. And you have everything.
I know. And if I could also add, because, a lot of people, and I know it's so fast to just buy a jar and throw it in your pan.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the other night, the class that Natalia's talking about, here are the ingredients that were in the pasta sauce. We fried some bacon and used the bacon grease, garlic into the bacon fat to kind of
flavor the oil,
and then fresh tomatoes, fresh grape tomatoes, and then fresh basil, and it was finished with pecorino romano. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Well, there was even another class that we had that we gave them a small container of crushed tomatoes, and had them add some garlic, oregano, and that was it, wasn't it? I mean, they didn't add much more.
I don't think it even had oregano.
And there was this table that was like, well, what's the sauce? The sauce is so good. And I'm like, guys, there is no sauce. Like,
you're making the
crushed
sauce.
Tomatoes. You're making the sauce. It's really not hard to make really good tasting sauce from a can of crushed tomatoes.
True.
I mean,
even if you don't have, and I'm not a big proponent of you have to use fresh tomatoes in your tomato sauce.
Right.
This happened to be a burst tomato sauce.
Right.
But if you canned tomatoes are fine.
Yeah.
You just have to find the right, and we did an episode on that.
Yeah, yeah.
You just have to find the right brand of canned tomatoes.
And I get it. People buy the jarred stuff and then they add stuff to it. It's the same thing. You buy the canned stuff and you add shit to it,
Yeah.
and you know what's in it. You don't know what's in that fucking jar.
No.
And then you taste other people's and you're like, why does this taste so good? And sometimes less is more.
Usually it is.
Sometimes.
I must say. And you don't get, and this is my big thing about jarred stuff, sodium preservatives.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get all that. You just have fresh, beautiful flavor. And if you'll just let the food sing,
Mm-hmm.
it will.
And again, you will find that it sits differently on your stomach.
Yeah.
It is lighter when it's fresh, no matter what it is.
It just is.
It is.
It is. And you'll feel better, and then you'll want to eat healthier.
Yeah, and it really doesn't take that much. And honestly, a lot of times it's cheaper in a situation like this. Canned tomatoes are very fucking cheap. You're adding what? Maybe some herbs and spices that you have in your cabinet. You probably already have the garlic, maybe an onion that you want to throw in there. That's cheaper than, I don't even know how much. Pregu is what I was going to say.
It's a new type of tomato sauce. Pregu.
The Pregu is. I don't know how much the Pregu is. But I'm assuming it's like $4, $5, $6. Like,
it's more than a can of tomatoes.
you know, more than
unless you're buying an imported can of tomatoes, then maybe that's $4 for a can. But otherwise, you're paying much less for just a can of crushed tomatoes versus a jar of
Pregu.
marinara. Prego marinara. Okay, we beat this dead horse,
Oh,
and we had a
shit.
few PSA announcements in the meantime. So stay fresh.
Water bags.